You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I am Johnny Clash.
And I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis, and today we are continuing round one of Game Wars, and today WWF No Mercy takes on WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. Which one of these absolute titans is going to advance into round two? The vote is in your hands. We also discuss a little bit more about AEW Fight Forever, some Spider-Man Easter eggs, and more gaming news.
And don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts. It helps so much. And on Spotify. And follow us on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod. And check out the exclusive content we're creating for our Patreon at patreon.com/GameMarksPod. George, happy 3-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary,
wow,
my friend.
So technically we started on the 19th, so that was only a couple days ago. So
I just told the story because Dylan asked me how we started this, and he asked me on Going Postal how we came to be. And I realized, and I feel like I need to say this, in case you're new or you haven't, maybe we haven't said it here. I am by no means a wrestler. John and I just met because I am friends with Smart Mark, and there was graphic design heat on Twitter. John and I went back and forth, and then something happened, and we both turned on Mark, and we said, you know what, we're going to go start our own podcast, and that joke turned into a 3-year podcast that we're now on 158 episodes.
That's, 158 episodes. And I mean, it's only fitting that we're doing Game Wars right now, because the first anniversary we did Revenge. The second one we went back and redid World Tour. Yep. And now we're covering, technically, not in entirety, No Mercy.
Yeah, I mean, we always said that, unofficially, that for each anniversary, we would like to kind of throw in one of the AKI THQ games because they are so near and dear to our heart. And obviously, if you follow GMP64, you are well aware that we are well versed in No Mercy. But how is that game going to stack up against SmackDown vs. Raw 2006? Who knows?
Well, there's only one way to find out. But before we do that, let's reveal the winner of last week. Because we put up, you said in the beginning, two titans of a game. We put up SmackDown Here Comes the Pain versus Fire Pro Wrestling World. Two massive games. Ooh. It was a little bit closer than week one, but I think we knew who was going to take this one. And at 62% to 37%, that doesn't make sense, but there's decimals in there. We don't care about those. Your winner, advancing to take on Revenge in round two. Holy crap. SmackDown Here Comes the Pain.
So, SmackDown,
that's a big one.
Here Comes the Pain. WCW NWO Revenge. Oh, man. I don't know if I can clearly and decisively say that I have one in my head that one is better than the other.
I know exactly where I go on that one, but I'm going to wait for the episode,
Okay, all right.
In 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But okay. Listen, we're rolling here. We're already on week 3 of Game Wars. This has been something that's been so cool that so happy we did. I hope my college research teacher knows that I'm putting everything I learned to good use.
I mean, you do it every week for this podcast, and now I just feel like it's doubled because we're doing Game Wars.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going too in-depth, but still, I mean, there's a lot to look up here. But, George, tell us what happens when we hit 1,000 followers on the Twitter machine.
I cannot wait. Like John said, when we hit 1,000 followers on our Twitter, twitter.com/GameMarksPod, we will be releasing the complete video game history of Mick Foley. You've heard me say it week after week. It's not just Mick Foley. It's Mankind. It's Cactus Jack. It's Dude Love across any game that he officially appears in. And I love doing these so much. We've done The Undertaker. We've done the Legion of Doom. We've done Bret Hart. We have a lot more planned for other people that we want to do. But we need your help. We need to make sure that you guys actually want these. And what better way, what easier way, what freer way to tell us than just following us on Twitter. Costs you $0.
All right, George. So AEW Fight Forever. We saw the official THQ Nordique showcase. Now, I don't think it was exactly what everyone expected it to be.
No,
I think
but
we wanted more AEW, but we only got that Britt Baker and Tony Schiavone commercial that we already saw that leaked last week.
Which, I mean, wasn't bad. It was good.
We already saw that. We didn't really get more.
We weren't supposed to see it. That's the problem.
Right. Now, for everyone who's wondering, it starts with Britt Baker pulling Tony Schiavone into her hotel room and has pizza boxes everywhere. She says she's been playing AEW Fight Forever for hours, for days. She gives him the controller, and she proceeds to whoop his ass as Adam Cole versus Britt Baker. Now, something people have pointed out, it's cool that Adam Cole has his actual voice lines in there, even though it's just him like crying out to the, what's it called, the lockjaw? Is that the move?
Yes.
Crying out to the moves and everything. I wonder how many superstars get their own voices in there. I think that's kind of cool. I could see them, hey, give me an ooh and ah and ah. And
like, how much time could that realistically take? Like, I can't imagine that they're going to make people go into a sound booth and be like, all right, I need you to sound more ooey when you do your ooh.
Yeah,
like I sound more in pain when you do your ah. Like,
yeah. And there's some wonkiness to it. A lot of tweets pointing out how awkward the garbage can is that gets put over Adam Cole's head, but I think some simple shading in there will make it 10 times better.
I mean, there was also like clipping when she actually had him in the lockjaw, like part of it looks like part of her hand or part of her arm is like clipping through the body. So I look at it this way. It's not the final game. It says it on the bottom throughout the whole drive. This is not the final release. Right. Things are going to change.
Exactly.
So, like, they're giving us a slight insight into what the aesthetic and what the type of game that we can expect. And they're going to polish it up. They're going to tighten, everything that needs to get tightened up. And I think that a lot of the issues that people are having now are going to be fixed by launch. And also, that's a huge reason why they do stuff like this, is that so people can get eyes on what the current build is and be like, hey, could you fix this? Could you do that? I noticed that this was wrong. Like, that's the whole reason that a lot of game companies do these kinds of things.
Yeah, and we also saw a fire extinguisher, which I thought was pretty cool because I don't know if we've seen a working one since GameCube. I could be wrong.
Just going to say, I was trying to think, like, when was the last time? Because I know that it's not, you can't just walk around and, like, hit the circle button and just spray it wildly. Like, it had to be, like, one of, like, how you would do the, either the Van Terminator or the DDT on the chair. You had to like actually like grapple them with the chair. I feel like in one of the games, the fire extinguisher worked the same way. You can grapple them and you hit them with it, but then you spray them with it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. The mini games we saw, very Mario Party-esque, and I don't know if I'll ever really dive into those. I hope they're not incorporated into the career mode.
So
where, like, you have to do them
for us.
Do we have to play them?
Well, obviously we have to play because we have to like cover the game. But like, do the mini games count as an OMG, as a non-wrestling game, or are they still technically considered a wrestling game, even though they're not really wrestling games? Like, it's in a wrestling game, but it's not a wrestling game.
I guess it counts. They are wrestling games. I don't know.
I'd say it's a fine line. I think we can make the decision on that one. But I was just like, I'm watching it. I'm like, what do we do with this?
I think they'll be fun. I just won't put too much time in there.
It's like Home Run Derby and Smash Brothers. You do it once, you get the trophy, and you're like, cool, never need to touch that again.
Yeah. But all right, George, we're here for one reason and one reason only. There is a battle. There is a war at hand, and we are ready to dive into WWF No Mercy versus SmackDown versus Raw 2006, sponsored by Zavi.
I know where we stand, but where's everyone else going?
Hey, George. You see this light here that says game over that I point to at the end of every single episode, like Ronda Rousey pointing to that Wrestlemania sign?
I do.
Do you know where I got it?
Why don't you tell me?
I got it from Zavi. That's us.zavi.com, Z-A-V-V-I, and they literally have everything. I have spent hours on this website looking up Mandalorian, Jurassic Park, Harry Potter, like everything you could imagine. There's Legos, Power Rangers. You could pre-order the new Marvel Legends. It's an insane website that has literally everything pop culture. There's even Batman shoes on here.
I mean, I know for me, a little like adult Zen garden project that I like to do is like the smaller Lego sets, and Zavi has a lot of those Lego sets on there and getting kind of itchy. So if you like all things pop culture, like John said, Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Nintendo, they're even getting into the wrestling game now.
Oh, yeah.
Zavi is the place for you.
That's right. Use code GameMarks, simply just GameMarks, at checkout, and you can get 10% off.
I'm going to redo my wardrobe. All right, how we want to split this, John? You want to take which one is ringing truer for you? Do you want to take No Mercy? Or do you want to take SmackDown vs. Raw?
I think we could both recite No Mercy in our sleep, so that's up to you. You want to... do you have anything to flip? I'll flip this bottle cap. If it's heads, I'll take No Mercy.
Okay.
And it is tails. Go ahead. You're up.
Right.
No Mercy.
WWF No Mercy. Released November 17th of 2000.
My friend Chris's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Chris, in 2000.
Happy 12-year-old birthday, Chris.
Published by THQ, developed by Asmic Ace Entertainment and AKI Corp. Now, if you don't know what console this is for, have you been living under a rock? Why are you listening to this podcast? It's for the Nintendo 64, and this is the sequel to WWF WrestleMania 2000, and it is the last of the AKI wrestling games on the N64, which started all the way back with the very first episode of this podcast, a game that we covered, WCW NWO World Tour.
Could it be any more poetic?
Oh, man. And on the other side, you got WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, released, oddly enough, November of 2005, November 14th to be specific, published by THQ, developed by Ukes. Now, this is available for the PlayStation 2 and the PSP, and it is the sequel to SmackDown vs. Raw. All right, John, are we ready to go?
All right. Dive into No Mercy. Let me know all the stuff I could recite in my sleep.
All right. So, No Mercy features various improvements from WWF WrestleMania 2000. Improved graphics. I mean, that is the number one biggest improvement, is that the graphics are way, way, way better. But you lose some stuff in there. You're not getting the full entrances. Maybe the music quality is a little less than. Yeah, but it is what.
And listen, we don't mean updated graphics as in like the faces are spot on, because they are very much not. But think about the arena and the logos and the way the Titantrons are. Think about from Revenge what they look like, where it was that small little arena, where it now actually looks like there's an upper bowl.
Yeah, and like it almost looks like they kind of dialed in the sharpness of it. Like, it's not so much that the character models change, so much that like the textures of the models change, where you're just like, oh, this small little difference is actually making a larger difference when like everything is scaled up like that. The championship mode, which now allows people to participate in various storylines. Me and John have been playing through a bunch of those. And a more in-depth character creation mode. Again, something else that John and I have spent a ton of time doing. Go check out GMP64, available on our YouTube. Branching storylines that are based on real-life events. New unlockables through the Smackdown Mall. A survival mode where you have to fight 100 wrestlers, and throughout the process, you can unlock characters. Andre the Giant is the final participant, and once you beat the survival mode, you get $1 million, and that's enough to pretty much buy everything from the Smackdown Mall and then some.
Have you done it?
Recently, no, but when I was younger, yeah, I've done it.
I don't remember if I ever actually completed it.
Oh, I thought you said that you did it with Saturn.
I don't know if I made it all the way. Saturn had the hack where if you hold down A and B, he does the sweep kick, and it's pretty much an auto elimination. I think X-Pac
just tape the
kick
buttons
as
down.
well. Yeah, you tape. I remember reading like the game FAQ where it's like put a chair leg on the A and B button.
Not putting any
and
chair
I tried
like
it,
my
and
controller.
it just didn't work. But no, I don't think I got through all 100. Plus, I would want to play it. I wouldn't want to just watch it happen.
Maybe we need to do a little bonus episode where
Hey, let's try to do it.
John tries to conquer something. You know what? I feel like if child John got pretty close, I think adult John could definitely do it.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially with the amount that we played this game. Soon after the release of WWF No Mercy, I suffer from this as well. An issue was reported where it's the save glitch. So what happens is the battery in the cartridge, it was a faulty battery, so every now and then it resets, and your data would get erased, and the cartridge would essentially be set to factory settings. There was a recall, and you would get the -1 cartridge in return, which now go for a pretty pricey amount. I think they're upwards of like $100. I think we've checked before. You don't have one.
Yeah, I got the original.
And I don't
here.
have one either. And if you can find them, I mean, they are available on eBay, but they are very expensive because there's not a lot of them because, back in 2000, this was not a, THQ is not sending out an email blast to everyone that got them. There's no like actual official recall. It's just if you took the chance to report it, you got the fixed copy. I mean, there's tons and tons. I mean, probably, I would say over 100 different mods for the N64, or the emulator of this N64 game. There are hacked cartridges, but you're running into a whole world of issue with that.
Now, does that count? Like, are we counting that as part of the game? I mean, I think we kind of have to because...
I mean, it's a whole separate community that has continued to give the game life even to today. I mean...
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, it's still going. It's still full of life today because of that, and it's still coming out with new ones.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they're starting to hack more modern games. There's some Day of Reckoning hacks and all that, but you always go back to No Mercy. People are creating moves, and it's just... endless. It's endless.
AKI Evolution is the one that comes to mind. They release, I think, 2 updates a year. The most recent update was Christmas, and John and I actually played through that for our Patreon. So if you're interested in watching that, yeah, it's a really good mod. A lot of costumes.
Modders really go nuts. The WCW Feel the Bang one was probably my favorite so far.
Oh, yeah.
Just the theme music, everything's reskinned. It's so nice. And if you figure out how to do it, it's very time consuming. It's honestly not that hard.
And we have said that, you had done it at one point when you were younger. I kind of explored with it as well when I was younger. It's something that if you have the drive to do it, and you have any kind of graphical background, you can easily make textures and reskin stuff. And it's a lot simpler than it sounds.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that crushes me.
Oh, me too.
There was a rumored sequel to WWE or WWF No Mercy called Backlash. And AKI unfortunately scrapped it when the game was about 30% complete. And this happened because they got word that the GameCube was coming out. And they took these assets and put it towards the next game that would follow in succession to this, which would be WrestleMania X8 in 2002.
So I always say that WrestleMania X8, that whole series, all the way up to Day of Reckoning, still has somewhat of this feel,
Yes.
this No Mercy feel, this whole AKI, I'll say evolution feel to it. I think WrestleMania X8 misses the mark to being like a good game. It's got a cool roster. It's just, there's no story mode. It's just not fully there yet. But you see by the time 19 comes out, by Day of Reckoning 2, while all of this is still there, they just get better and better. And it makes you think, even after Day of Reckoning 2, what would have came next? Would it have been another one? This always happens, and we wish somehow we were able to see this backlash. But if there was only 30% complete, I doubt there's even anything playable out there.
Yeah, part of me wonders if we even did get the 30%, like, would people take that and run with it? And all right, I'm gonna build this out. Like, we got a little bit of it. We got the small piece of the puzzle. I'm gonna keep going with it.
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's like. People could reskin a game. It's uploading new JPEGs, but could they run with it? I don't know. Crazier things have happened.
Very true. But
all right, are you ready for the other side here?
Jumping into SVR.
All right, go a few years later, like you said, in 2005, also November. I'm glad we switched that back to the March WrestleMania time because, boy, a lot of games come out in October, November.
Yeah.
So this is the second in the new series, WWE SmackDown versus Raw, which took the place of the SmackDown series that ended on Here Comes the Pain that we covered last week. And the main focus of 2006 is to be kind of more realistic and not so arcadey, like... I guess you could compare all the way up to the SmackDown games as a little more like you could give your dad the controller and he could play, where this gets like more advanced. Like you give your little cousin, like, here you go, pretend to play, and they'll actually hit you with a couple moves. Now, I don't think so. But the game sees new additions of new matches like Buried Alive and Fulfill Your Fantasy, which took the place of the Bra and Panties match. And
is it better or worse?
I don't know. It's supposedly after a match that actually took place at Taboo Tuesday, but that was a battle royal. This one's just literally a bra and panties match. So, whatever. Weird thing to put in a video game. Now, this also was groundbreaking because GM mode makes its debut and Create an Entrance makes its debut. Now, the good old days of just picking parts for your entrance, they're over. You could really detail it now with the lights and the pyro and all that. I was always still, I skipped the entrances. I was more like, give me some cool music, a good video, and call it a day. I don't care what I look
Jeff
like.
Jeff Hardy entrance, cool music, you're set.
Or like Edge. I would always pick Edge. So also new is the new momentum bar. And we pointed out in our playthrough, you could see on YouTube, just kind of how hidden and nice it is to not have it take up most of the screen. It's not a big meter. It's not a big bar. It actually somewhat resembles the WWE title today a little bit. I would think.
It's very strange how like things come around like that. But yeah, it is an oddly familiar shape.
Yeah. And it works almost like No Mercy. When the bar fills up and pulses, that's when you get your finisher, and you could even store it and use it later, or use it to pull off a dirty or clean move. And yeah, it's really just not in the way. And that's all you want in a game. When there's 4 people on the screen, you don't want stuff everywhere. You want to be able to see, especially we're not in HD time, so the screen isn't wider yet.
We're still on that 4:6.
So you need you need as much as you can. Now, that also has a stamina mode where when the meter runs out, your guy gets tired, much like Fire Pro, but you actually can see the meter. You have to hold select to bring it back. It happens way too often, but I also get how that's making the game a little bit more fair. And you're not just, beating up like you do to me sometimes in No Mercy. You just beat me up.
Well, then we flipped
this
it.
Would give me
and you in this game, you beat me up, and then
this would give me somewhat of a chance.
Throw a random move, and then somehow like the counter has no sense. You throw an elbow drop, and it's got the knees up for the elbow drop somehow.
Now, I remember created wrestlers, because the stamina is actually an attribute in there. Created wrestlers start low, obviously. So it just took forever to get rolling in a match because you were constantly just pressing select. So it did have its flaws, but it was there. Now, grappling's also improved, where it's still pretty familiar from the other games. It's just a little more like you have specialized per character moves, which is pretty cool. The arena and the crowd, now fully 3D characters, and we'll say fully loosely, because there was a big mixture of 3D and 2D in previous games, but this one has more of the clay bubbly crowd, but you do get the glimpses of those 2D animations in there, and they're pretty
horrifying.
ugly.
And you know what? You're looking at this crowd, and then you're like, oh, like when you're in the ring and you're looking on like the hard cam side, you're like, this looks good. But then when you're really, really close at ringside, that's when things get bad. Also, for some reason, I had a brain fart. I said 4.6. It's 4.3. I'm a designer. We should know these things. I should know these things.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Sorry. Okay. Also improved here is a steel cage match, which now lets you escape through the cage door, which I never really liked. But hey, if Legends of Wrestling can do it, so can we.
What was the alternative? You had to do moves.
Just climb the cage.
Oh, yeah.
No, you couldn't go through the door like real life. I hated when they implemented that. Like, ref, open the door. Like, that's just so stupid. Just lock them in, let them climb over. Did they ever...
No, I think I'm answering my own question, but I'll just say it just for the sake of maybe I'm forgetting an instance. Did they ever do, like, you know how nowadays they'll be like, oh, someone was thrown through the wall of the cage? Or like how they did it with, first time that I remember it was when it happened with Austin. When Big Show,
St. Valentine's Day
Big Show
Massacre.
threw him through the cage. But like, I don't think they've ever had that as a feature in a game. Like they've never been like, well, Big Show's got this special thing where,
because it kind of just ends the match, like when Lashley does it.
Yeah, but I didn't know if like maybe there was like a special like OMG in one of the matches that was only for specific people. I don't think that's ever been in a game before.
No, that would be cool though. That would be very cool.
Especially now that they have all like the characteristics for the creative characters, where it's like you can be like a super heavyweight or...
Just give it to Bobby Lashley. That's it. Now, backstage fights have been approved. There's now random refs, officials, and like WWE personnel that just walk by that you could interact with and just knock them down if you want. In total, there are 100 different match types in this game when you combine everything, which is just crazy. And now... the season mode also features 100 different motion captures and cinematic cuts, real-time stories, and improved voice acting. And the players have a choice between 5 original voices for their created superstars. This needs to make a comeback.
The choice.
A 3D locker room where it has like an old school like Windows 98 computer there you could look at. It has a locker room, a TV. You could keep adding stuff. You could add like trophies, like a Raw logo, a SmackDown logo, WWE. It's like a whole new world within a world just to customize your locker room. It was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I very much remember this, like, that trophy room and stuff. I very much remember being like, I don't know why I care about this, but for some reason, I want all of the things in here. Like I didn't want to care about what it looked like, but for some reason, I kept going back, like, oh, I'm going to change this now. I'm going to change this now.
Yeah. And also, Create a Belt is back, and now you can create tag belts. But this is what I want to touch on. So, we mentioned the story mode here in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, and it's very drawn out. It's a season mode because you branch off and you could do different things. But they somewhat resemble some real-life stories. Speaking of resembling real-life stories, No Mercy. When you play No Mercy... you pretty much run through every single storyline from the year 2000. The Royal Rumble's bikini showcase, whatever you want to call it. The McMahon-Helmsley era. But the funny thing is, if you switch and swap parts, you could have Bradshaw with Stephanie McMahon, or... what was the Stevie Richards one you pointed out?
If you win the Royal Rumble, Stevie Richards... pops into the storyline and he's like, you cheated, blah, 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 blah. Actually, no, it's not that. It's if it's your first playthrough. So when John and I just recently played it, I had already played through it once on a Twitch stream or something else that happened. Bradshaw was the champion. But if you play fresh playthrough, your storyline starts with you versus Stevie Richards in a series of matches. And that storyline is actually supposed to be you and the Big Show, but the Big Show was sent down to He was either released or he was either sent back down to OVW at that point. And because of that, he wasn't put in the game.
Yeah, but some of his assets are still there. So you can make the big guy if you want, but I think that's the bread and butter here of No Mercy. It's that story mode. Yeah. It's that survival mode. It's the constant replayability, because once you get through the story, see, other games don't have this, and I think this makes it even more like you have to beat it. It shows the percentage of the story complete.
It's that.
Now, if I put this cartridge in right here, it'll probably say World Heavyweight Title like 95.7. And I've tried following the branch. Like, there's websites that show you the branch and how to get certain storylines. Some of them just don't work. And you'll be on the right track. You're like, okay, I'm going to get the one I never got. And then it just shoots back down to the other one. And you really don't see games where it shows you the branch in the storyline either.
Interesting.
They're quick. They're only about 10 matches. Maybe the women's and light heavyweights are about 5. They're very quick. You could definitely run through the entire thing in a day, I would say. One of each title.
I wonder, maybe we'll have to do...
Now you want 100% everything, huh?
Maybe we...
Well, that includes running through it from the start and then running through it as the champion a few times. So it's a lot.
We got a lot of content, so maybe
we got a lot of content.
I don't know. There's gonna come a time that we have to sunset No Mercy, and I don't think that's on the horizon yet. So we got a lot.
Yeah, I see sunset horizon. Nice.
So I feel like the real debate, at least for me, for these two games, is that time-tested, true storyline, the throwback to the retro graphics, the create a wrestler from No Mercy versus the additional match types, the next-gen hardware, and the additional creative modes of SmackDown versus Raw. Like, that's the trade-up. Like, it's just like both rosters really good for their time. Like, just like who's of the era for these games.
No Mercy has more on their roster too than SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, which is crazy.
I was gonna say, is it by a lot? But it is a little bit. Yeah,
probably like 5 or 6.
That makes. It's 5 or 6, but then you also got like Fink and
the doubles,
Paul Bearer and Michael Cole and
you need those. You need to play those.
That's for me internally. That's that argument. It's the key features from No Mercy versus the key features from SmackDown vs. Raw, because they are both excellent games for what they are. It's just that for at a personal level, like which one rings more, nostalgia, long-term playthrough.
What's crazy to me is these are only 6 years apart, 5 years apart. How much technology just changes between generations. And this is on PlayStation 2, and it's like almost where we're at today, which is crazy.
And here's another thing that I'm just... You brought up the point about the difference in the years, and then this also... The difference in these rosters in such a small span of time... There's not a lot of... I mean,
there's only a few crossovers.
Not that much. And with a lot of the crossovers, it's really like new characters. Like Bradshaw is in No Mercy, but it's JBL in SmackDown vs. Raw.
Yeah, and a lot of them are in TNA at the time.
That is also very true. and like the standings of where people are, like Edge here in SmackDown vs. Raw is definitely not the same Edge that we're getting in No Mercy.
Okay, the covers of these games. You have The Rock, Edge, and Triple H on No Mercy. Only 5 years later, you're getting Batista and John Cena, who aren't even there at the time.
Crazy.
You have another few years before they're hitting. It's just nuts to compare these two. Who would have even thought we would be comparing these two? But here we are. It's just night and day. But I'll tell you why. Because we're going to go into some ratings and reviews right now. And I'm going to start here with SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. Then you could do No Mercy. This game was praised for its depth of content. An IGN reviewer commented, said there's no other wrestling game since No Mercy that offers this much replay value or depth. And from the game's release up until December 2006, the game sold 3.3 million copies. And on October 23rd, 2006, this was added to Sony's Greatest Hits collection. That's only a year later, and it's already a greatest hit. So this game was compared to No Mercy, and you could see why. We played both. Go check out our playthrough. There are definitely some comparing features of the two. And one thing they did not fix: goddamn Hell in a Cell.
I mean, okay.
Your body's just rid after
so
one
I will say
toss
this. We played Here Comes the Pain. And in that game, I feel like throwing the Irish whip to the edge of the cage in that game versus the Irish whip to the edge of the cage here, there are some mechanics in place that make it so that you don't go over every time. But I mean, they went from a 100% fall rate to a 99% fall rate. Like, if John throws me to the edge of the cage and he runs into me, there is a more likely chance that he's going to fall off instead of me. And the collision detection for like the running moves and stuff, like you're putting yourself at a risk if you go up to the top of the Hell in a Cell with any kind of cruiserweight, because there is a very good chance that you're going to go for some kind of like flying crossbody and completely dive over your opponent.
Or leapfrog. And yeah, the dives are broken. But overall, this game was around 7, 8. There's some 9s out of 10. It's very well received. Very well received. I wish we can go back to the day when wrestling games were in the 80s, but here we are. Let us know now.
All right.
No Mercy
so
got.
This game is praised because of, what we talked about with Revenge. The already iconic gameplay, just with the improvements already made to this engine, it was praised for that. Just, you took something that was already good and you just polished it up and made it better. The game was faulted, though, for the continuation of the blocky graphics, slow down during certain sections when, there are too many characters on screen, or if characters are... we experience this all the time when we do GMP 64. If you're doing a 4-man match and you have 2 people in the ring, 2 people outside the ring, it doesn't matter if you're playing on a computer, on an emulator, or on the original hardware. For some reason, the game itself just lags. I don't know. Overall, the game was critically well received and would become one of the best-selling titles for the N64, as well as the 3rd best-selling wrestling game for the N64 console. In the years since its release, No Mercy has been regarded as one of the best wrestling video games ever made.
Is it the best?
We're going to find out. That's the point of this.
Okay.
Was touted as one of the standout titles for the N64. Now, in terms of the receptions, you've got Metacritic giving it an 89. You've got a lot of 8s out of 10s. You have a 9.5 out of 10 from Game Informer. IGN gives it a 9 out of 10. N64 Magazine gives it a 92. 4 out of 5 star ratings. Nintendo Power gives it a 7.3 out of 10. This game is widely regarded as not only one of the best games on the N64, but one of the best wrestling video games, period. But let's see how this whole thing shakes down. Is there potential for a surprising upset here or otherwise? I know that there are a lot of people that are just expecting No Mercy to run away with it, but I think No Mercy has got some stiff competition, especially as we get into round 2.
I think so. I'm actually a little torn. I don't know which way this is going to go. I really don't.
There's a lot of options here and a lot of potential upsets that could happen. But that's, like we said earlier, that's why we're doing this. We want to see, as from you, the viewers, what is the best wrestling video game. But that's your opinion. John, I think it's time for us to offer up our opinions, because I'm looking down at my watch and think it's time for us to rate the game.
The game!
Okay. I mean, guys, Twitter, Game Marks Pod, pin tweet, go find it and vote and let us know what you think. We want this to be a big one, so let's go. Let's go, baby.
Kick us off here,
vote.
John. You're gonna do
Kick
the
us off.
first vote here. SmackDown versus Raw 2006 versus WWF No Mercy. Which one are you gonna move on yourself?
It's hard not to say No Mercy. It's just we play it weekly. Well, I play it by myself. Like, you play it probably by yourself too. We have a whole show revolving around it. Like, we gotta say No Mercy. However, I do love SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 also, and it just brought back a whole mess of memories. But I'm gonna go No Mercy.
Yeah, I had a feeling that that's what was gonna happen.
How could we not?
And as for me, I mean, very similar to what John said. SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 brought up a lot of memories. This game comes out. I'm in college. I have very vivid memories of playing this in my college dorm room.
No Mercy, right?
What am I, Smart Mark? I have very vivid memories of playing SmackDown vs. Raw in my dorm room. Just introducing people who have not played a wrestling video game probably in 10, 15 years. I remember one of my friends I played Royal Rumble for the Super Nintendo. Is this like that? I'm like, it's come a long way, man.
Boy,
Let's educate you. And I would just come home from class and you'd be like, hey, you want to play the wrestling game? And I was like, all right, yeah, this guy's back in it. But
yeah.
I mean, like you said, we have a weekly show. We have a monthly pay-per-view. We have played this game countless times. I think that we have talked about, spent more time playing, and worked on this game more than any other wrestling game that I've ever played. So, I mean, it is, again, a very tight race between these two. But I am going to say that it's going to be No Mercy for me.
Okay, now here's a question. Hi, Willow. She just came to visit. What do you think? No Mercy or SmackDown? She winked at No Mercy. Of all the games you have ever played in your life up until this point now, is No Mercy the game you are best at? If you're picking up a game, any game right now, what game are you best at? No Mercy?
You're saying there is a tournament for $1 million, and the only thing that you have to do is prove that you are the best at this video game. What game do you play?
Sure.
I feel like it's just wrestling games as a whole is the category that I would pick, but yeah, it's got to be
okay.
Revenge, WrestleMania 2000, No Mercy. It's got to be this THQ AKI series. But yeah, if it's one specific game, I think I might be best at No Mercy. I don't think that there's another game that I've put as much time into. If there was, if there,
especially
so Steam
now.
tracks and a lot of other things do. I know, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, 5, all the Xboxes do it. They track how much time you have spent in a game. If there was a tracker for overall time that you and I,
oh my God,
separately and combined have put into No Mercy,
Check our YouTube.
it's got to be in the thousands, if not the tens of thousands of hours that we've put into this game. It's just from all of the years that this game has been out, and then especially since doing this podcast, it's ridiculous.
I think I have to agree. I think
is that your game
No
that you were
Mercy
the
now.
best at, you think?
There was that or probably Day of Reckoning.
See, that's what I was going to say for you, that it's
now,
either
there was a time
WrestleMania 18 or maybe even 21.
And no.
Or what's
that doesn't exist. Oh, that's the Xbox one. No, I would say 19
Day of Reckoning
or
for sure.
Day of Reckoning, but No Mercy. Now, there was a time where I remember my friend had us all over. This was close to probably 10 years ago at this point. And our one friend brought his brother, who's, I don't know, a year or two younger than us, and we all played No Mercy. Let me tell you, this kid wrecked everybody, and it never sat well with me because I was the only one there that still played wrestling games, that still watched wrestling, and this kid just came in and just, I'm not friends with them anymore. He wrecked everyone. I think I put up a fight, but there was just no competition. I would love to go back and use my skill.
We're going to get him on the podcast. We're going to bury this hatchet right now. Do you know?
Don't even remember his name.
Podcast. The amount of time I will kick your ass into wrestling.
He would imagine he just embarrasses me then. All right, but now I think that's all we could talk about here. We talked about No Mercy until we're nauseous. Head on over to Twitter and vote in our pinned tweet. I think it's now time to enter the soft lock.
All right, so the soft lock is a weekly segment where one of our Patreons gives us a topic to debate, and this week the topic comes from Megamark Tecker, and Tecker would like us to know what has been the most infuriating soft lock that we have ever had. I have one umbrella answer. The most challenging soft lock section portion of, because the soft lock has kind of gone under different names over the course of the podcast. I think when we did the question of the week and you and I had to come up with the questions, that was the most frustrating part of the podcast, because there was only
George, I think they mean like the actual soft lock in a video game. I'll let you think about that one, because I actually know what mine is. I
meant like this segment, like what has been the most frustrating part of this.
We've been doing this for 2 months. All right, I'll think about it, because I know mine. I used to play Raw 2, and the season mode, you could just keep going and going and going and going. And I would sit there for hours, like on winter break, and just keep playing. I went from like the first pay-per-view all the way to like the Royal Rumble, and I was in the Royal Rumble. I still vividly remember Shawn Michaels in this match just running in place. The crowd was going, the music was going, the meters were flashing. He was just running in place with the timer like just went off, I think, for an entrant to come out in the Rumble, and that was it. And I did not save the game from like in game 10 months earlier, so I didn't want to close it. I think I might have even like went and ate lunch, came back, it was still going. Finally, I just had to press the button and do it all over again. That's when you don't play a game then for like another 2 months and then go back to it, because you're just like, no.
I'm still so embarrassed. I still feel so embarrassed. I understand and I agree with everything.
I was like, what is he talking about?
I really thought he meant like the segment. And I was just like, we haven't had that many questions, but sure, I'll answer it because it went under other names. But yeah, no, actual soft locks. That's the very important part of the question that he asked. So the only one that came to mind immediately, and you know what? I was going to ask you to cut it out, and I just know that you're not going to, because it's too good.
Oh, hell no.
And I don't blame you. You know what? Shout out to Spork, because Spork's going to be the only one who probably really, truly understands this one. In the original Super Mario Brothers, there is the minus world, and it is you go down one of the warp pipes, and it takes you to world -1, and the level is glitched, and you can't get out of it, and it soft locks the game. It's the only one that I have like vivid memories of actually making happen in my life, but I don't really think I've ever had like noticeable soft locks. There's like, the other one is if you use the Game Shark on Pokemon, you could like soft lock a game, and I've done that like a million times, and that was the worst.
Or surf around the island and get all the Master Balls and all that.
So it was like you had to go to what was it, Seafoam, Cinnabar, one of the islands, and you like would surf up down and you would get missing now.
Cinnabar.
So what was it? The sixth item, the sixth slot was the one that was duplicated. Okay, whatever number it was, but I was for some reason like 11-year-old George was always really bad at remembering what item was in the sixth slot, and he would move one over, and he had an infinite number of town maps. And I would
That's
do
the
that
best.
so often, and that is the frustrating thing about like 11-year-old George just like ready to throw his Game Boy Color like against the wall, or his VCR gray Game Boy. Worst.
I love it. Hey, our boy Soups in the Patreon is soft locked in Power Wash Simulator right now.
Almost kind of.
No, I just didn't know you could move the scaffold. And I was like, how the hell am I supposed to do all this? I thought the scaffold was permanent. Finally, I was like, oh, F to move. And, the little power washer guy dragged this giant
you have
scaffold.
that through Game Pass? I might.
Yes.
I'm like getting back into Game Pass. I might have to.
It's such like a nice stress reliever because it's so satisfying.
Right, we got it. I'm going to have to get on that.
But all right, enough about power washing. It's time for some gaming news.
Welcome to the Power Wash Podcast.
Your gaming news sponsored by WrestleChamps new for the iOS and Android. Use code GameMarks for a special move pack. Production of the Steam Deck is speeding up, and more are being offered weekly. Now that's big. Disney and Marvel have announced a new showcase that will take place next month, focused entirely on upcoming video games that are in the works. That's September 9th at 1 p.m. That's part of the D23 Expo. Now, spotted by user Nanai Tamp, the code within the PC iteration of Marvel's Spider-Man containing mentions of co-op feature for the game. That could mean there's co-op coming to Spider-Man 2 because it is in the build. Now it shows Miles Morales and Peter Parker. Now, this is a big one. If you're looking for a PS5, now by the time you listen to this was the weekend that just passed 2 days ago, so hopefully you're still in luck. But PS5s are rumored to be in stock at GameStop because they are being bundled with the brand new Madden 23. If that's the only way you have to get one, then get it and sell the game, or just enjoy a nice football game. That's probably glitched to all hell. Now, games coming out this week. George, are you smarter than a fifth grader? I'm not. Midnight Fight Express, Saints Row, SD Gundam Battle Alliance, Train Life, a railway simulator. Oh, I live that in real life. I don't want that. Soul Hackers 2, and I'm excited about this one because this is a game I actually did play growing up. Pac-Man World Repack.
There we go. I'm going to get Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader and Power Wash Simulator, and you're going to get Pac-Man World, and that's going to be the content that we put on our YouTube from now on.
Right,
guys, youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast for all of our weekly playthrough videos, exclusive content, and more, including this week and every other week's game. John, what is going on our Patreon?
All right, like we said, September 1st, the Patreon is changing. You can get this show early and ad-free with the show notes for only $3. Check our tweets because we're going to be posting that in its entirety, and you can see the full chart of what's happening. Not much else is changing other than that. Monday, you're getting the show ad-free and with the show notes. Now, this has been on Fridays lately, so we're starting the a little early. So if you want to get on board now, get on board. Tuesday, GMP Game Over on Patreon. This is the last few weeks before it goes away, and we are working on the World Heavyweight Championship mode with X-Pac. Hilarity ensued last week. Go check out our latest TikTok to see what we're talking about. Future Endeavored. George, you are playing WrestleMania Challenge this week, and next week I am playing... last week you played WrestleMania Challenge. This week I am playing Wrestling Revolution 3D, and I might be a flipski on that one for a technicality that I am playing it. So technically that's a play it forever.
Well, so
right?
how the flip works is that if you enjoy the game post Future Endeavor, it gets an asterisk, and it's a play it forever.
We'll see. I'm going to give it a little more time to see if I get sick of it because it is frustrating.
Endeavor for the record books, but there's the asterisk that says on Future Endeavored. We switched. I have one that I flipped.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, but GMP64 Warzone is coming in September to twitch.tv/GameMarksPod. We will follow up with a date shortly. George, the final game of round 1 is next week before round 2 commences.
I actually think that this is the week that I am most excited about because I think that these are two games that probably don't get the praise that they deserve. It is WWF Smackdown 2 versus Def Jam Vendetta. I'm really excited to go back and play Def Jam Vendetta. Also, I have some very, very big news for you. Once Game Wars is over, I did a little more research and I discovered a few things that we need to play. There are 3 Kinnikuman games that we haven't played yet. So we have to go back and play 3 more Kinnikuman games.
Oh my God. That actually, we love Kinnikuman. Ultimate Muscle,
I saw them and I was just like, I can't wait to tell John that I got to add 3 new Kinnikuman games. And they're not all just like for, the SNES. There is actually Ultimate Muscle. Yes. I think it was the GameCube one. There's another one that we didn't play yet.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
All right, bring them on.
GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for all of our new shirt designs. We got a lot coming up on the Pro Wrestling Tee store within the next 2 weeks. Make sure to check that out. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for all of our exclusive content and everything else that John just listed off at GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. And please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. See, I thought you were going to hit it at ring, so I paused. And leave us a 5-star review and a rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you have a product or service that you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. I cannot wait for next week for 2 reasons. I can't wait to see what won from this episode, and I'm very excited to play Def Jam Vendetta again. John, do the thing.
Game over. Marks. Diggity dog.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future Endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.